This is step 9 in the 14 steps found in the art of storytelling. It deals with story endings. How do you end a story? And like I mentioned in the book, this is difficult. I personally don't find a good ending until I've told the story 5 or 6 times. And yet, we're asking our storytellers to come up with one at the spur of the moment. Now, with an Aesop fable, traditionally they end with the moral of the story. So finding a different ending for an Aesop fable is especially difficult. But I think you'll enjoy seeing them struggle with this. It'll give you encouragement for how you'll struggle at finding a good ending to your story. So let's join them now and see how they do.
Basically what I've been saying is something like if you want to tell someone what to do, you ought to be willing to be a good example, to show them. You ought to be able to do it yourself.
Right.
Something like that. What I would prefer to do is to somehow incorporate that into the story itself as opposed to having it as a coda. But I'm not sure how I would do that at this point, but that's what I'd like to do. So the mother crab, she tried to point her toes outward, and when she did, she fell flat on her face. It was so embarrassing, right there in front of her son. And she thought, well, I guess next time I want to ask my son to do something, I should try it myself first.
Very good.
So the mother crab falls on her face. She raised herself from the stones, dusted herself off, held her head high with all the dignity she could muster, and said, "Oh, son of mine, always remember that we are crabs. We must be who we are."
Yes, okay.
It's a different moral, but...
One that I brought up earlier could be to do the memory hook, to end it with that. Is sometimes it's easy to think of great ideas, but it's not always easy to fulfill the ideas, especially when it concerns the cat.
The moral seems almost anticlimactic because I think the central truth is pretty obvious that this gnat was a conceited little creature. I might just end it there with the bull giving the "I didn't even know you were there, you teeny little thing." And with that, he turned his rump toward that gnat and just wandered away. I might just end it like that, letting you see the hind end of that bull walking away.
Okay.
So I think that kind of gets the message off to the gnat.
Okay.
I might add another animal or animals to the story. And in that story, when I get to the ending of the story and the dog comes out of the water, then it would give it a whole different look. So let's try that. So the dog jumped down into the water, and when he came out, there was that fox, there was that crow, there was that turtle he met along the way, all of them wanting just a little bit of that meat. And now they were looking at me and laughing. And they said, "You know, being greedy can make you lose everything."
I would like to think that the miser changed his ways, perhaps. As the miser reflected and looked at that cold stone, he knew that he had no more gold. Perhaps the passerby was right. Perhaps there was other talents that the miser had never used, that laid buried, and that he needed to bring them forth and to use them for the betterment of the world rather than to stay just isolated in his own house. And he would start today.
I think if I were going to work on a different ending for this story, I would maybe think about the idea of passing the lesson down to the next generation. So I might include some of the sons or daughters. So after that great abundant crop that they had, Michael began to take his sons out into the field. And he took Luke and Andrew with him every day and taught them to plow and taught them to be faithful in their work. And they too whistled while they worked.